Okay, what we are going to do now is look at compositions, but compositions when our functions f and g are given in a table or when they're given in a graph. Okay, so let's look at this number 8. This tells us, this row tells us what f of x is given for a specific x value, and that row will tell us what g of x is given for a specific x value. So let's look and see if we can do some of these. Okay, so this first one here wants us, using the chart, to calculate f composed with g evaluated at 1. So I'm on this chart. Okay. Well, remember that's f evaluated at g of 1. And so we have to look at the chart in number 8 and ask ourselves, what is g evaluated at 1? Well, if x is 1, what is g of 1? G of 1 is 0. So I'm going to replace g of 1 with 0. Now looking at the same chart, what is f evaluated at 0? If x is 0, what's f evaluated at 0? It's 5. And so my answer is going to be 5. Let's look at this one. What's f composed with g evaluated at 2? Well, that's f evaluated at g of 2. So I need to find that in the chart. If x is 2, what is g of 2? It's negative 3. So I'm going to replace g of 2 with negative 3. Now, what is f evaluated at negative 3? According to the same chart, if x is negative 3, then f evaluated at negative 3 is 11. That's my answer, 11. Let's look at this one. What is g composed with f? Evaluated at 2. It will be g evaluated at f evaluated at 2. And I need to find out what that is in the chart. So if x is 2, f evaluated at 2 is 1. So I'm replacing f of 2 with 1. Now, what is g of 1 according to the chart? If x is 1, g of 1 is equal to 0. And my answer is 0. Okay. Let's look at this one. What is g composed with itself evaluated at 1? Well, it's the first one evaluated at the second one evaluated at 1. What is g evaluated at 1? So I'm going to replace g evaluated with 1 in here. Well, according to this chart, if x is 1, then g evaluated at 1 is 0. So I'm going to replace that with 0. And according to this chart, what is g evaluated at 0? If x is 0, g evaluated at 0 is equal to 1. And that's my answer. What if we tried to do something like that? Well, be the first one evaluated at the second one evaluated at negative 3. So according to the chart, what is f evaluated at negative 3? If x is equal to negative 3, then f evaluated at negative 3 is equal to 11. But now, what is this? If x is 11, oops, 11's not in the domain. The domain is the top row. The domain is a set of allowable x values. So this is not defined. F of 11 is not defined. So if you got one like this, the multiple choice answer would be D and E does not exist, or not defined, either one of those. Okay, so now that's if it's in a chart. What if we've got something like this where it's in a graph? And let me try and tilt the camera so I don't get quite as much glare. Okay, so this is g of x. It's in red where it says y equals g of x, so it's kind of hard to see. But this is the graph of g, the one on top, and this is the graph of f, the one on the bottom. Okay, and so let's look at that number 10. What is, using this graph, what is g composed with f evaluated at 1? Okay, well, that's going to be the first one evaluated at the second one. And now I need to find out what that is from the graph. So here's the graph of f, and we should know how to get f evaluated at 1. We've either learned that in a previous video or doing that as a prerequisite for this course. So I find the point whose x-coordinate is 1 on the graph of f. There it is. And f maps the x-coordinate into the y-coordinate. So f evaluated at 1 is equal to -1. So I replace f of 1 with what it's equal to, -1. Now I need to find g of -1. I look at the graph of g, and I find the point whose x-coordinate is -1 on g. There it is. So what g does is it maps the x-coordinate into the y-coordinate. So g of -1 is equal to 3. And my answer is 3. What about this? What is f evaluated at g evaluated at 2? So f composed with g evaluated at 2. That's going to be f evaluated at g evaluated at 2. And I need to find out that one first. Okay. So I get the graph of g, and I find the point whose x-coordinate is 2 on g. There it is. So g maps the x-coordinate into the y-coordinate. So g evaluated at 2 is equal to 2. And so now I need to find out what f evaluated at 2 is. I find the graph of f, and I find the point whose x-coordinate is 2. So this is the graph of f. There's the point whose x-coordinate is 2. F maps the x-coordinate into the y-coordinate. So f of 2 is equal to -2. And my answer to that one is -2. So that ends this video.